Flip to Freedom, episode number 43. Hello again, this is Sean Terry from the Flip to Freedom podcast, and we are on episode number 43. Now, if you are joining me for the very first time, I'd like to welcome you and let you know that I have produced this podcast for you to help you escape the 9-to-5, to quit your job, get out of the rat race, and you can learn how to do this by flipping properties. In your spare time, even if you have no cash, no credit, or no experience. That is the goal of this entire podcast, is show you how to flip properties. So what the heck is flipping properties? Flipping properties is where you find a motivated seller, and you can get that property under contract. That's all you have is a contract. And you sign it with a motivated seller. Then you find a cash buyer, and then you sign a contract with a cash buyer. Let's say you sign a contract with the seller first for, say, $50,000. The house is worth, let's say, $100,000. Then you can find a cash buyer for $60,000. You bring both of those contracts to a title company, an escrow office, an attorney, whatever state yours has, and then you instruct them to do what's called a simultaneous close. A double escrow or even an assignment is fine as well. But you can do this, and the cash buyer will bring in 100% of the funds. They'll bring in the $60,000. The $10,000 will go to you, and the $50,000 will go to the seller. So how much did you have invested? Well, you invested in the two contracts. That's all you had invested. So if you are thinking about getting into real estate, and you have the preconceived notion that you have to have cash or you have to have credit to get started, then I can tell you don't. And finding motivated sellers and finding cash buyers, this is like the first step. The entry point of getting into real estate. This isn't obviously the whole gamut. I mean, there's so many facets to real estate, but this is the entry point where you can learn how to market for motivated sellers and be able to get a property under contract, learning the basic principles about that. Now, this applies, can use this method and this strategies in your in any part of real estate. You can find motivated sellers for land acquisition and development. You can find motivated sellers for commercial properties that you want to do. You can find motivated sellers for that own 100-unit apartment complexes and negotiate those. I've been there, done it all, and learning what we're talking about in this particular podcast and the other 42 different podcasts I have is about that technique of finding the motivated seller and be able to negotiate a deal. But you can do that. I mean, look at Donald Trump. That was his whole game. He found motivated in distressed situations, but he did it on a massive scale. Now, you can learn how to do this on a smaller scale by, finding a $100,000 house and flipping it for $120,000. You can do that all day long, twice on Sunday. But the goal of this particular podcast, first off, is to get you into the game first, learning how to do it, and then quitting your job. Now, how you going to quit your job? Well, first off, you have to have security. And what is security? Security is cash in the bank. So the goal is to get 1 year's worth of your income in the bank as fast as humanly possible. And you can do that. And that's what we are going to talk about on this particular episode. We are going to talk about 3 essentials to a $100,000 a year business and beyond. 3 essentials to 100. We're going to talk about how to, you got to know the numbers, right, to have a 6-figure business. We're going to talk about crafting a marketing plan. So now you know you want to make 6 figures in the business. Well, you got to craft a marketing plan to be able to obtain that. We're going to figure out the numbers, marketing by the numbers. Right? We're going to talk about the big picture, and we're also going to talk about systemizing, automating, systemizing, and scaling your business from 100K and beyond. Okay, that's what we're going to talk about in this particular episode, and also we also are going to talk about what if it's not working. What if you are doing the marketing? What if you are talking to sellers? What if you're dealing with cash buyers? What if you're doing everything right? And see, this is a numbers game, and we're going to get into the numbers here shortly. But what if you're doing all that? What if you're taking the calls, you're saying the right thing, you're doing the right thing, but it's just not working? That is, we're going to touch on at the end of this episode on how to fix that. I'm going to fix for you, and I think it's not what you think. I can tell you that right now, but it will make all the difference in your success in this business, and I can tell you any business. And if you don't know this one technique, principle I'm going to talk about, then you might as well reevaluate your business, because you can put massive action into it. You can put tons of emotional energy and action behind it, but guess what? It's not going to click. It's not going to click for you, and that's what we're going to talk about and how to overcome that at the end of this particular episode. All right. First off, before we get into that, I'd like to thank a couple people. Oh yeah, we also had the continuation of the $18,000 case study we talked about last week. I'm going to finish that at the end of this episode this week, so we're going to continue that. So before we get into the meat, I want to thank a couple people who actually went into iTunes. These guys went into the iTunes store, and they actually searched Flip, the number 2 Freedom, and they submitted reviews. And they wrote a review, and my goal is to try to be the top-rated podcast in iTunes under real estate investing. And I'm at currently 40 reviews right now, and if I get to 47, I'd be considered the top. So for all the people who went in and have done that so far, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. But here are a couple that have come in that I want to read to you since the last one. Here's this. It's This came in from Justin P31 on March 11, 2011, and he says, "You get what you pay for." 5 stars. "We've all heard these phrases, but it certainly does not apply to Sean's podcast. The best free information I have ever come across. Not only is he unloading tons of useful information, but he presents it with passion and even stresses the most important component of starting your real estate investing: taking action. His podcasts are motivational, and you get pumped." He says, "Hey Sean, you can dedicate the entire podcast. Can you dedicate the entire podcast to motivation? Keep it up. Thank you." Well, thank you, Justin P31. I greatly appreciate it for submitting that review. And actually, I never thought about doing a podcast just on motivation. I don't know. I mean, it's. If you want me to do, if other people want me to do a podcast strictly on motivation, or maybe I do once a month or something. But I know when I listen to. I listen to other real estate investing. I want the meat. You know what I mean? I want the how-to, stuff that I'm in my business, I'm trying to overcome. And, and honestly, motivation is more of a personal thing. You gotta, motivation's great, and you can give inspiration and stuff like that, and it's good. But it only lasts for, about 30 minutes until you turn off the iPod or whatever, your iPhone, and then you get back to real life. The motivation has to come within, and the motivation comes from a crystal clear vision of exactly what you want, and then knowing the steps to get there, and then applying those steps. Because think about it, if you have hope, right, and you have hope, and you can do it. If you know you can do something, that gets you excited, and that gets you motivated. See, and that's why this particular podcast, I give away tons of great free information, because, and I'm going to explain in this particular podcast, the business model of why I'm doing what I'm doing. And once you understand that business model, then it'll all come crystal clear of why I give away so much great free information on this particular podcast. All right, the next one is from Next World Champion on March 12, 2011. And it says, "Sean is the bomb. I've learned tons about real estate investing listening from Sean Terry's podcast and from his book, Flip to Freedom book, The Ultimate Real Estate Investing Blueprint, than any other source out there. You can start and run your entire business by just listening to his real life experience and case histories to back it up. The next big challenge: drop Sean Terry into any city in America, take a stranger off the street, and make their dreams come true by coaching them through a deal, making the process from start to finish, and sell Trump on the new reality show, Break the Bank. Leave your 9-to-5 and turn your dreams into millions flipping real estate. Of course, we'd be partners. Yes, we would. Next world champion. Actually, that's funny. I've never actually thought of that either. But I think that would be interesting. You know, think about it. Imagine that. You take a guy that's working this dead-end job and hates it, and he's in Lake Chicago or something, and he's just, just miserable driving in traffic every single day and hates his life. And then we go out and we start marketing, find motivated sellers, get a deal tied up, turn around and sell it, and make a check, and then continue to build the business and escape them. That'd be a pretty cool episode. It would be exciting to see. It's almost like The Biggest Loser. You know what I mean? Have you seen that TV show where the guys weigh a lot and they go on The Biggest Loser and they go through this process of losing this weight and what they have to go through to do it? I think that'd be pretty cool show. Anyways, would be fun. Great. Another one is great content, 5 stars from John A. in Naples, Florida. I used to live in Naples, Florida. Great place, even though it shuts down at like 8 o'clock. All right, it says, Sean does a fabulous job with creative content on his weekly podcast. I wait with great anticipation each week for the newest podcast. As soon as it is posted, I download it to my iPod and take my walk. Well, hey, thanks very much. I sincerely appreciate the effort Sean puts into each podcast. I have been involved in many facets of real estate over 35 years. However, I am going through the process of dispelling my old biases about how real estate investing is always done. Like many, I have been attracted to these many new real estate investment strategies. With what I have learned on this podcast series, I am starting my marketing this week after many months of waiting to have everything perfect. With Sean's help, I have pushed off the side of the pool. Thanks, Sean. Well, thank you, John A. from Naples, Florida, for submitting that podcast. That review. I greatly appreciate your kind words and support. The next one is from Michael Uplowski. And Mike, you're probably laughing right now because I know you are. And Michael is actually a local guy here that works here. I've talked to him many times on the phone, and he was the person in the last podcast I talked about that has the intensity and the passion to get this done, but it's just lacking the relaxed intensity, which, like I said, we just talked about in episode 42. All right, and he says 5 stars, best training for serious investors. And he says, I have worked with Sean personally in Phoenix on 2 deals, and I'm still working on the 3rd we have under contract. I am not one to be intimidated by lots of material or trying something new. In fact, if you listen to episode 42, which we just talked about, well, I'm Michael, the guy who is really motivated and just charges at everything in my way. Sean has worked with me on controlling my ambition, and I can tell you one thing. I am blessed to have a mentor who doesn't sugarcoat anything and teaches the real principles on how to make this crazy thing actually work. So, well, Michael, you know what? Hey, you've made money. That's the thing. You know what I mean? Now it's just consistently doing it on a basis and understanding, the next step, which is what we're going to talk about in this particular episode. So, sorry for the long stuff, but I get these massive reviews in here. And again, guys, if you went in there and did that, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for taking your time and submitting those reviews. Now, if you do want to get my book at that the gentleman was talking about there at flip2freedom.com, you can go to flip2freedom.com, and you can get that for free. You'll see a video of me on the front page. Just enter your email, and I will send you a link to where you can download this book for free. It's in PDF format, and you can read it. It's about 129 pages, and I tell you, just go read all the reviews in there. I've got unbelievable response from people who have actually listened to it. Actually read it, and it has got success from it. So, enough of the updates. Let's get into the 3 essentials to a $100,000 business and beyond. Okay, let's get into the meat here. Okay, let's talk about step 1. Now, first off, when you're building a $100,000 business, now I'm assuming most of you have jobs, right? And you're in your, 35 to 40, 50 years old, right? And you've got a job, and you have your kids, and you have your family, and you have your, your life, and you commute to work every day, and you do your job, and then you're coming back, and you're looking at this as a potential opportunity now to get out of that rat race, to supplement your income, or to more importantly, replace your income. So what I'm going to do in this particular episode is give you the big picture of what a successful business looks like. We're going to talk about how to systemize it and scale it. But the first thing we have to know is the numbers. We have to know the numbers so then we can craft a marketing plan and a game and an action plan to go out and get the results. So first thing, what we're going to do is take an average deal size. Okay. Now, inside the Flip to Freedom Academy, I actually have a spreadsheet that you can just plug all these numbers in. It spits out exactly how much marketing you have to do, and it spits out exactly how much money you can potentially make off doing the marketing. But for example purposes, just talking about it right now, let's say the average deal size. Now, this depends on the city you're in. Is say $5,000. So let's say the average deal size is $5,000, and it takes 25 leads to get one deal. Okay. Now, we're marketing for motivated sellers. Okay. Not every motivated seller, every person that calls, of course, is going to be a motivated seller. Some people are going to call up and they're going to say, well, I just wanted to see what you wanted to offer. Some people are not going to be motivated. Some people are going to have a rental property that they've had for years, and it's just great, and they love it. I've heard it all. But the bottom line is that the numbers, the way they work out is about for every 25 leads, you get one deal that's a potential deal. Now, the question becomes, how many deals do we have to do to make $100,000, right? Well, we take 100,000, very simple, divide it by 5,000 equals 20. So we need 20 deals, let's call it a year, in the next 12 months, to make a $100,000 a year business. 20 deals, that's it. Now we got to figure out how many leads we have to generate 20 deals. Well, we just said there's 25 leads for every deal, right? So you take, multiply those out. Well, we need about 500 leads a year. You take 20 times 25, we need 500 leads a year. Now we got to figure out, okay, how many leads, we need 500 annually, 500 leads a year. How many leads do we have per month? Well, you take 500 divided by, we take that divided by 12, right? And it's going to give us 42 leads per month, or roughly 11 leads per week. Okay, now that's not a lot. Okay, so those are the way the numbers work. So we need basically 42 leads a month to be able to generate those deals, those 20 deals that we need. Okay, all right, so now, that will give us roughly almost, what we're going to shoot for is like 2 deals a month. It actually ends up, if you have 20 deals to divide by 12, you actually get 1.6, 1.7 deals a month. But, to make it easy, let's say we have like 2 deals a month we're focusing on. Okay, so to get 2 deals a month, right, we are going to we're focused on getting 25 leads per deal. So we're talking about getting 50 leads. Right, I'm taking it from 42 to 50 leads every single month, okay, for the next 12 months. All right, so now we go, okay, what do we have to do to get 50 leads to come in on a monthly basis, right? So then we go, okay, lead generation, which is number 2. two. Okay, number one is figuring out the numbers, knowing the numbers and knowing them inside and out. Number two is then lead generation. So then we go into lead generation and we go, okay, what is the best form of lead generation that can get us to those numbers working around our job? Okay, because now we want to have something that we can put out our marketing. We can have calls coming in, and it's something that we can answer the calls. We don't want it coming to our cell phone all day long, right? So we want it to go to like an e-voice number or even Google Voice number, which is for free. So you're going to have the phone calls are going to start coming in, and you want to be able to answer those on your own time, your own leisure. You can do it after work. You can do it lunch hour. You can do it before work. You can do it on weekends, whatever it might be. But you're going to basically space the time around that to where you can start calling people back. So let's talk about the lead generation. The first one is yellow letters. And I like the yellow letters because the response rate is high, number one. And number two, you can have them go directly to a voicemail number and then you can call them back on your own leisure. So the way yellow letters works is there's about a 10% response rate, sometimes higher. I mean, I've had some, people across the country get 30 and 40, 25 and 30% response rate on these yellow letters. But let's say 10% response rate. Okay, on the yellow letters. So if our goal is to go out and get 50 leads, we basically got to send out 500 letters to get 50 leads to come in on that month. Okay, so you send out the 500 letters, and you can have and I use the yellow letter. If you want to know what the yellow letter is, you can Google yellowlettermarketing.com. There's several companies out there you could use that can write them up for you, and they can write them up, and you can pay them. They'll write up the yellow letters, or you can actually do it yourself if you're on a tight budget. You can go actually in my flip2freedom.com in my ebook there. I actually have an example of what a yellow letter looks like and what it says. In one of the pages in there, in one of the sections. Okay, so you're going to basically send out 500 letters, and also too, there is other marketing methods in what lists to target. You can target inheritance lists. You can target absentee investors. You can target free and clear properties. But if you want to go back and listen to episode number 24, I break down in detail the marketing method and how to find motivated sellers, what lists to target, where to find these lists, and everything like that. So we'll go back and listen to episode 24. But for this example, we talk about lead generation methods. We're talking about yellow letter. Our goal is to get 500 letters out so we can get those 50 leads, we can get our 2 deals. Okay. The next lead generation source and we're talking about automated lead generation sources, meaning that we can pretty much set and put it out there, and we can do it. We can get calls coming in. We can handle the leads on our own time around working our job. Okay. So now we've got internet marketing. Now, internet marketing, there's basically 3 different things you can do for internet marketing. Number one is you can use free services, like free. You can put write articles and put them to article directories like eZine articles or Article Base. The articles can be all around certain keywords, like we buy houses, we buy ugly houses, we buy houses Phoenix, we buy houses Chicago, whatever it might be. You can you can basically submit an article that is search engine friendly around a specific keyword, and you can submit as many articles as you want. Now, what happens is when someone reads the article, 2 things could happen. You could put in there, listen, if you'd like to sell your house now and you like to sell it fast, you put your e-voice number in there or your Google Voice number in there, and someone can call you right there after they read the message, and they can, guess what? They can call you and leave a voicemail if they'd like. Or what I do is I have what's called a squeeze page. It's a website where someone then can click on it, they can watch a video of me, and then they'll fill out a form, and then I'll automatically get a lead that comes in on my email. Okay, so that's one way. Submitting free to our search engines. You can do, in the last episode I talked, or actually the previous episode, episode 41, I talked about free ways to generate leads online. You can listen to that if you'd like. But another way to do it is what's called pay per click marketing. That's when you pay for ads on like Google or Yahoo or Bing. You can actually pay for ads to where your ad will show up on whatever search term, and you can bid on specific keywords like, we buy houses and we buy houses Phoenix, and you can do a specific keyword. You can so when someone searches that keyword in Google, your ad will come up, and then they'll click on the ad and they'll be taken to your squeeze page that we just talked about earlier. That's what I do. Those are automated ways to set up, and there's hundreds of different ways to market online. I mean, I've done episodes on just marketing online and how that works, but that is a way to get automated leads coming in. Okay. Now you can get on that probably an extra 20 to 30 leads a month by having your automated leads set up through that. Okay. So that is internet marketing. Internet marketing is a great way to where you can put out, for free sources and paid sources, all around your particular city. Meaning, there's probably about 200 or 300 different keywords that's all targeted to find motivated sellers. Like, sell home fast, sell house fast. Those are two different keywords. Okay, and you could write an article about sell home fast, Chicago. Right? And so someone types in sell home fast Chicago, your free article would show up in the top 10 results in Google. Someone will click on that. They could read your short 250 to 400 word article there. And then at the bottom, there would be a link or a phone number where they could call and could get more information about selling their house. Another way is posting ads in Craigslist, Backpage, or Kijiji. You could post ads, and those particular ads will index, meaning Google will pick those up and show those ads in the search results. So now someone puts in sell home fast Chicago. Well, you're going to have an article that will show up, and then you're going to have a Craigslist ad that will show up, and then you're going to have a Backpage ad that will show up at backpage.com, and then you can have an eBay classified ad that shows up. So now if there's only 10 spots on Google and you have now 4 of the different spots for sell home fast Chicago, well, guess what? You can dominate that particular keyword. Now, you can do that for free, right? And then you could, you could submit a video, right? And you can submit a video of sell home fast. Now, you could do that for the 200 keywords and pretty much dominate your entire market. Anybody who searches anything online is going to find you, and that's the goal. Okay. Now, I haven't even done that. I'm implementing that every single month, is by putting new content out there so people find me in my specific market that will just drive leads on autopilot. I have, in certain particular keywords, I have them pretty much covered, but I don't have every single keyword covered. So it's something that can be built, and it doesn't have to be built right now. It can be built over time. Now, pay-per-click marketing is great because guess what? You can load Google, Yahoo, or Bing with all the keywords to 200 keywords there that you want to focus on. And guess what? Those particular keywords, they'll show up immediately. Anybody searches them will click to your website immediately, and you'll start getting calls, or actually you start getting leads that come in. Now I have my phone number, and I have my squeeze page where they can fill out a form, and I'll get an email of the lead information. So those are different ways you can get leads coming in for your 6-figure business. Now, I would do this on top of sending out your 500 letters, because those are just going to be extra leads that come in, and they're targeted because they want to sell their house fast, but they might not be targeted for equity. Meaning, the list that we mail, like the probate list or the inheritance list or the absentee investor list or the free and clear list, all those particular lists we know have equity. Well, when someone types in "we buy houses" or "sell house fast," they might or might not have equity. A lot of leads that I get that come across on the internet are upside down, so I would refer them on to my short sale lady that I work with. All right, so that is enough for internet marketing. That's number 2. Number 3 is Bandit signs. Now, Bandit signs, you can put out those. You can put out, I would suggest, anywhere from 50 to 100 a week. And you can do that either, and I would suggest putting them out on early Friday morning. And you can get those and take them down on Sunday night, have them go to a untraceable voicemail. It is a little risky because some municipalities don't like you putting them up, and some do, some don't care. But you can get leads, and you'll get about, you get 5 to 7 leads per every 100 signs that you put up. That's about the average. That's what you can expect. So if you put up 100, to 2 or 3 or 400, you can get, anywhere from 5 to 20 calls that come in, depending off that for those leads. Now those leads are seriously motivated because they're driving down the street and they see a Bandit sign. It's basically a white corrugated sign that's handwritten that says, "We buy houses, fast for cash," and then a phone number. Simple as that. If they see that sign, then they'll call you up, and the motivation is extremely high on those, and you can definitely get deals off those. Okay. Now we're also going to talk about here we're going to talk about automating and systemizing it, which is basically the key to the whole thing, to building the thing to where you can build it into a scalable business and build it up to the $500,000 mark. Now, so that is Bandit signs. Bandit signs, I would recommend doing 50 a week, 200 a month, or doing 100 a week to 400 a month. So what's going to happen is you're going to look at these different ways to generate leads coming in based upon the numbers. Your goal is to get those 50 leads plus coming in, so you can hit your numbers of getting 1 to 2 deals a month. Okay. Now if you do that, then you'll hit your goal of getting 20 deals a year, and you'll hit your income goal of making $100,000 a year. Now I'm going to tell you this: not every deal is a $5,000 deal. I mean, we closed on a deal last week. There was an $18,000 deal, which we're talking about in the case study. Okay. So some deals you get $18,000 deals. You might be in a city like, say, California, where the average home price is $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. If you have something like that, well, you can pretty much that you're going to make $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 per deal instead of making $5,000 per deal, because the house is larger, it's a bigger spread. Here in Phoenix, where I'm located here, we're talking flipping 50 to $100,000 houses, and the average is about 10% of whatever the house price you are flipping that you can make. I always shoot to make $10,000 on a particular property, and if I have to negotiate and get down to 7 or 8, that's fine. And then some deals, every one out of every 10 deals you get is going to be a home run deal. I flipped properties and made $30,000. I flipped properties and made $250,000 on a single family resident flipping a house. You know what I mean? So it's just part of it. I've done luxury homes. I flipped luxury homes, and I made a ton of money off that. So it just depends on your particular city and what you're doing. But the bottom line is that the goal is to get as many leads to come through as possible, to be able to determine which, obviously figure out which one's motivated, so you can tie it up under contract and then be able to market it and sell it to a cash buyer, and then it gives you the opportunity to have some $5,000 deals, some $3,000 deals, and some $25,000 deals. So once you put your marketing out there, things start to fall in place. All right, now let's talk about automating, systemizing, and scaling your business. Now, let me give you the big picture first off here. Okay, so we know the numbers, right? We know all the numbers where we have to be. And we know it's a numbers game. This business is a numbers game. So we know the numbers. We know how much marketing we have to do to reach our numbers to hit our goal to make a six-figure business. Now, what we want to do now is we want to look at it and go, okay, how do we do it and scale it and be able to be the most productive we can be? Now, I'm sure you've heard of the 80-20 principles, the Pareto principle, and that is where you focus 20% of your time on the results where you make 80% of your money. And what happens is a lot of people, they spend 80% of their time on things that don't make them money, right? And only 20% of the time on things that actually make you money. So the goal is, first off, is to determine where do you spend your 20% of your time, and where do you spend your 80% of your time? Well, if you can spend 80% of your time on only money-making things in your business, then guess what? Your income is going to increase, and everything else can be outsourced and can be and given to other people to handle. Now, so let's talk about what are those things that you can focus on. And the number one thing would be you talking to motivated sellers. Now let me back that up. You talking to only motivated sellers. I'll give you an example. In my marketing, the marketing that I do, I don't talk to anyone that's not a motivated seller. Okay? The calls come in, I don't take the calls. The calls are sorted out, and they're taken by someone else, and only the motivated seller, the one out of the 25, is the one that I talk to. Okay? That's the person I talk to. And then that's the person I would then pre-qualify myself on the phone, and then that's when I would go on an appointment and get a contract. So you make money in this business by, number one, talking to the motivated seller and making sure and qualifying them, and then actually going on the appointment. I typically don't go on an appointment with a motivated seller unless I know they're 100% motivated, and I know they have the hot buttons, and they know that they're saying the right things, like, hey, I just got to get out of this house I just inherited. I don't know what to do with it. I have a rental property, and the guy trashed the property. I just want to get done with it. So if you have those key things and you know what you're kind of listening for, you will only be talking to the motivated sellers. So think about it. If you have 500 calls coming in a month, not in a year, let's talk about it in a month, those can be sorted out to where you're only talking to the 20 to 30 motivated sellers in that month. Now, obviously, I'm saying that in a month because I'm thinking on a bigger scale. But let's say if you did it over a year, similar. Right? Now, the goal is this, is that you want to have all the calls coming in, have someone taking the calls, and then only you're talking to motivated sellers. Okay? Then the next thing, for that particular case, is then working with other property scouts in your particular market. Okay, so you have now property scouts are people that you work with, teach, and train. They're going to go out there, and they're going to go out there on the street, and they're going to go out there and do aggressive marketing. They're going to send out letters. They're going to put out bandit signs. Because guess what? If you're only going to put out, maybe 2 or 3 or 400, 500 bandit signs in a month, you only can hit a certain area of town. So especially here in Phoenix, it's such a big market. Well, you can have guys put out signs and cover the entire market if you want. And same with the mailing. There is probably 50 to 100,000 plus of free and clear properties and that we could mail here in Phoenix. Well, I'm not going to mail them all, but I can mail a portion of them. But then these guys can go out and mail them as well. So you work together and you have property scouts. So you teach and train them to go out and find properties, and you can work with them through your system to go out and market these properties and sell them quickly to cash buyers. So what you're going to need pretty much is a couple different people on your team. You're going to need a team. First off, you're going to need is someone to take the calls, someone that you can talk to that can talk to the motivated sellers and kind of siphon out the gold. You could say, and that then you can go and then you talk to the motivated seller, you pre-qualify them again, and then you would go on the appointment and meet them and get the contract. Okay, that would be a team member that could come in and do that. The second thing you need is a transaction coordinator. Now, I'm not saying you need this right away. I'm saying this would be the next step. Okay, you take the profits that you make from flipping the properties, the initial properties, and then you start bringing on people that can basically do this stuff for you. Now, you can have local people do it for you, or you could outsource it to like a transaction coordinator. It could be outsourced to the Philippines. You can use a website called odesk.com, and you can find a project manager, that somebody maybe that knows about real estate. There's another VA. It's called Contemporary VA, if you want to look up that. Those are outsourced, where you can outsource them. Me personally, I have local people I work with here that basically handles the transaction coordination of the properties. So what happens is that now I've got someone taking all the calls, right? Sorting them out, so I'm only talking to a motivated seller. Then I pre-qualify them. I go on the appointment with a motivated seller, and my closing ratio with that motivated seller is about 80%. So majority of the time, I'm coming back with a contract. So when I come back with a contract, guess what? I take it, I give it to the transaction coordinator, and the transaction coordinator basically takes the entire process, makes sure this gets over the title, contacts the seller, makes sure the seller's good, contacts the title company, make sure the title company has all the information needed, make sure we get the title report, and get that is all, and everything's clean on there. If the title report needs things like what's it called? They're called like a power of attorney, or they need a lien information, they need to clear a particular lien or something on the property, then that would be handled by the transaction coordinator. That we get that and gather that information. So I'm not doing all that little stuff. Or it's not really little stuff. I shouldn't say that. I'm not doing that important stuff that is essentially getting the deal through the process. That is not where you make the money. You make the money signing the contract and obviously selling the deal. The transaction coordinator can make sure the deal runs smoothly through the entire process. Okay, so that's what happens. Then it goes through this process, and then guess what? Then the property has to get marketed once we know we have clear title. Well, I don't put it on the websites or put it out to the email blast or put it on Craigslist or any of that type of stuff. I have it done for me. It's outsourced. It's a transaction coordinator that will take that and then put it out to the syndication marketing. We have text message marketing, where we send out text alerts to all our VIP buyers. It goes on Facebook. It goes on Twitter. It goes on our website, or if I have a good deal, what happens is most of the time, I can tell you, it doesn't even hit our website. Most of the time, I see the property, it's coming up. I'll make 2 or 3 calls to a couple cash buyers that I know that are friends, and I'll say, hey, I got this killer deal. It's out in Scottsdale. You got to check it out. And I'll give him. I say, listen, it's hitting out to my buyers list of 30,000 people here, and then in the next couple days. So you got a couple day head start to check it out. Let me know ASAP. So they're running over there and they're checking out the property to see if they want it or not before anybody else knows about it, and they're excited because I know the numbers and I tee it up correctly to be able to get this thing sold. And more, 9 times out of 10, they're calling me back going, okay, I'll take it. We write up the contract, and we don't even have to put it out to market because of just sold it on a phone call. Very simple. Okay, so now that's a transaction coordinator, and that's it. That's all you need. That is all you need right there to build not even a 6-figure business. A 6-figure business you can do yourself. You don't need a transaction coordinator. It's almost better that you do it yourself, so you can understand the process. So then, when you're taking it from $100,000 to $500,000, then you can know and basically show people exactly what to do. So then when a problem comes up, you'll know exactly how to answer it and how to overcome it, that particular problem, and get through it to a solution. So now you have the transaction. Okay, so let's talk about property scouts. Property scouts. Those another person, part of your team there are then people that would go out and find properties, managing and working with them. Now, what I do here locally is I hold a mastermind group with the people I'm working with here every 2 weeks, and we sit down, we talk about deals, we talk about what's working, what's not working in the market. We talk about what is in need right now for particular properties. What we have cash buyers that are looking for a particular thing, and they go out hunting for properties. And the good thing about that is that they just got to tee it up. That's it. They can do the marketing. They can take the phone call, right? And they're sorting through the motivated sellers. And guess what? That I'm talking to the motivated seller. So guess what? Increases our marketing numbers. so we can go out and reach more people and do more deals. Okay, so that is the Property Scouts. Now let's talk about scaling your business, scaling it to from 100,000 to 500,000 and beyond. Okay, so how do you do that? Well, there's a couple different things. And there's pretty much two options. There's one is to do more advertising to drive more leads. Now, we just scratched the surface on what you could do for marketing to generate leads. So let's picture this. You have your person answering the phone. It's basically answering the phone for all the leads coming in. And then you get your transaction coordinator that you're basically teeing off, and all you're doing is talking and getting contracts on motivated sellers. Now, what can happen is that we talked about just, a couple different marketing methods that, like I said, are ways to get the phone ringing and get success quickly so you can start accumulating enough cash to be able to quit your job, okay? Now, let's say you quit your job, right, and you got your business rolling and you got your marketing system going, and now you want to take it and scale it to a different level. Well, it just comes down to basically increasing your marketing. Instead of sending out 500 letters, you send out 5,000 letters. Instead of on the internet marketing side of it, you go out and with the internet marketing, you do all aspects of it. You make sure you're covered for every single keyword. You make sure you have a video up for every single keyword. You have articles in there for every single keyword. You have a Craigslist ad posted for every single keyword. You do that, right? And all that stuff will index, be put into Google, and then anybody that searches that, you'll come up for that. That will drive traffic. Those will get leads. So you have the whole internet thing covered. You have all the the letters going out. Let's see, you send out 5,000 a month, and then we can do advertising in newspapers. You can put advertising in yellow pages. You can put billboards up all across the entire, across your entire city when people, drive around. Now, the We Buy Ugly Houses built an entire business just on billboards. That's all they did is put billboards. Now they went more online, but there is still a potential. You could do, have you ever been to a movie and you watched an ad that comes across the movie? Well, you can target specific locations in the city where they play movies, and you could put ads on there with a picture of you that says "We buy houses fast for cash." It could be bright and yellow and with a phone number, and they could put your phone number in there, and they could call you. They might have inherited a house, or they just want to get rid of a house, and you're going to be there. So there are so many ways of marketing, hundreds of ways of marketing methods you could use to be able to get the phone to ring like crazy. You might even have to take on a second person that could answer the phone. Now think about it. You got your phone ringing off the hook, and what is that person doing? All they're doing is sorting through and finding those key trigger things. Now you can pay them either just a monthly salary, or I suggest, pay them off some sort of per deal basis. So you might pay them a small monthly and then pay them on a per deal basis. When you're first getting started, I would pay them only on a per deal basis. So now there's an incentive for them to talk to the sellers and try to figure out who's motivated, who's not, and then be able to tee up the motivated ones, and they're going to get paid, obviously, off each deal that gets done. So think about it. If you pay them, like, say, $500 fee for every deal that closes, and you do 10 a month, well, they're making $5,000, $60,000 a year. That's not bad. With a motivation to try to get you more, you know what I mean? And then you could do like a stair step. I'm just throwing out ideas of what you could do, what I typically do. So that is, so like I said, you'll have the phone ringing off the hook to where now they're just having motivated sellers. Now, what if obviously you can't handle all the motivated sellers? Well, guess what? Then you can start bringing on people. And you bring on someone, and now you have a sales guy, essentially, that goes on 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 appointments with you, understands how to negotiate, and is now going to negotiate a deal. well, guess what? You could pay them a percentage of the profits as well. So now, essentially, you could be running the show. You could have the leads coming in. You could have a couple sales guys going out there, and they're going out on all the appointments, reporting back to you with contracts. You give the contracts to the transaction coordinator, this process through, and pretty much you have an entire business running where you either can be involved or you don't have to be involved. Okay? That is one particular ways. Do more advertising. Okay. Now, I chose not to go down that route. Okay. I chose to do basically different. And what I chose to do was. It came from reading the book, The Go-Giver, which is a great book, and I recommend you read it. But basically, what I chose to do, instead of, because I could easily increase the marketing and not share all this stuff with people on a podcast, tell you the whole business model and how to find leads and the list sort and all this. I don't, I could have kept it proprietary, kept it all to myself, not taught anybody, and just ran the entire, Phoenix market, which, I do a lot of deals out of here anyways, but the bottom line is run the entire market, control the entire market, don't teach anybody, teach my mastermind, group, have them all sign non-compete agreements, and then just keep everybody tight and just crank it out and do as many deals as I possibly can. That could have been one method or path that I could have gone down. Okay, or the other method or path is what I chose to do, which is go out and teach and train others all across the country. So I have my marketing to a certain level where, I can easily do, 3 to 5 deals a month, 10 deals a month. Or more. Well, probably about anywhere from 5 to 7 deals, 10 deals, depending on what's going on. So enough marketing coming in, to where now I'm just talking to motivated sellers, and I can go get 2 or 3, 4 or 5 contracts, depending on what's going on. So then what happens is this. Then I can put a podcast out there. People listen to the podcast, they learn the information, and then I set up what's called the Flip to Freedom Academy. And it's an academy where detailed instruction training, so now people can know exactly how to do this business. And then I have coaching, which then I coach people all across the country, and I walk them through the entire process, a fast start. I give them an assignment from step 1, what to do, to go out and analyze the market to get cash buyers. And when they're done, they'll get cash buyers. I'm working with a guy now, Brian, out in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I said, here, go do this. He went out and he gathered all the cash buyers, and he got 80 cash buyers in his first month. And I said, go do this. And he went out and he went out and did his marketing. We set up a marketing plan by the numbers. We analyzed the market. And then what happened is that calls started coming in, and then he found out which ones are motivated. He sent me over the lead sheets, and I went through him with the comparable sales and analyzed each deal that came in, and basically said where he needed to be to make the deal happen. Okay, so he took that and we went with it. He got told him what he needed to bring on to the appointment. He got the contract, got everything together, what he had to say. I told him how to negotiate it, and he actually went to the appointment and he got the contract. Well, and I think the contract was for $19,300. Then he turned around. I said, okay, you got your buyer's list you can market it to, but guess what? He went out, and before he put his buyer's list, because he hadn't even get the title report back yet, he put some Bandit signs up, and his phone blew up just from Bandit signs. He got like 40 different calls off Bandit signs, and he found someone that wanted to buy it for, I think it was like $27,000 or $27,000. So there's like a $7,000 or $8,000 profit potential in between there. Well, what's going to happen now is that he met the buyer, he got a non-refundable cashier's check, got a contract signed, showed him how to do that, told him what he had to negotiate, told him what to say, talked to me right before he went on the appointment, and then he's taken that contract to title, and they're shooting to close it this coming week. Okay, so now I get to participate because I'm working with them, because I usually, in the coaching, I work with them, I make it incredibly affordable, and then I work with them on the deal, and we split the first deal, and then every deal after that is theirs for life. And I'll still coach them and talk to them and walk them through it and the whole process, because everyone always needs to know how to structure deals, and they have questions along the way. So that's how I work it. So now I work with people all across the entire country. I've got guys in Hawaii. I've got guys in Utah, a couple guys in Utah. I've got guys in Wisconsin. I've got guys in Albuquerque. Vicky, she's closed on her first deal today as we talk about this. Now, what's happening is that now I am literally spread out between all markets across the entire country, and they're taking calls coming in. They're only talking to motivated sellers, and I'm walking through the motivated sellers, and I get to participate in all these deals all across the entire country. Now, the beautiful thing about it is that, guess what? If I want to hang out at my beach house in California, at the beach, then I can do it there. Do I have to be in an office? No. I can pretty much have my laptop and pretty much be anywhere in the world and work with people all across the entire country. And I basically set it up to where it's the principle of the 4-hour work week, working with Timothy Ferriss, and the principle of the go-giver combined. Starting a business you can work with anywhere in the world, but also to be able to inspire and help and motivate other people. Now, you know what? Such a great feeling is people leaving great comments like that in the iTunes reviews, and of how people have inspired them and touched them and motivated them and stuff like that, and they're excited and they change their lives and stuff. I mean, that is great stuff, and that is honestly, like I said, I could hoard all the information to myself and I could just crank out and do a bunch of deals. But guess what? It's not it's just money. You know what I mean? It's just money. So yeah, great. You have a big house and big cars and have this and have that, but then what? I chose to do it because I wanted to impact people's lives in a positive way, the best I know how. And I'm not by far. There is so much for me to grow. I have so much more to learn. I have so much more, and I am literally, humbled that thousands and thousands and thousands of people all across the entire country actually listen, to me speak. You know what I mean? It's literally humbling to be able to know that. But I know that I am in my progress. I'm on my journey as well through this transition in last April, where I said, okay, I'm going to make a change, and instead of just cranking out all my personal stuff, I'm going to go out and teach other people. And I can tell you, it's been a blast working with people all across the country, and it's fun, and I love doing it. So how would you do something like that? What if you're not technically savvy? Well, you could start with WordPress. WordPress is a free platform that you can use, and you can get a theme, like through Woo Themes or through StudioPress, and you can set up a simple WordPress blog, and you can start blogging about your experience in real estate. Well, guess what? That's going to index into Google, and people are going to start leaving comments. That's how I started. I started a blog called Deal Makers Blog. I don't know, back in 2008 or something like that, and I just kind of documented and kind of wrote about stuff about real estate, and I got people comments, and traffic started coming in, and questions about this and questions about that, and I'd answer questions and talk to people, and then I was like, what would be another way to, because I hate to write. I can tell you that right now. One thing I learned about blogging, I hate to write. I'm not good at it. I don't like writing these emails and stuff like that. I don't like writing. I do, but with a podcast, it's great because I can talk. And I don't have to, I can just edit out some, mess ups or something like that, but I don't have to write. I just have to post it on the Flip to Freedom Academy, Flip to Freedom blog there.com. But I don't have to write, which is just painstaking for me because I'm not good at it. Remember, I only have a high school education, so I never went to college, and like I said, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but, hey, I like to talk. Anyways, so you could do that same thing. If you do like to write, you can set up a blog and you can start writing about your experience. Well, when you put that out there, people will start coming and asking questions and want to learn stuff. And you could start that way by putting good content, information out to people, motivational, inspirational information out to people if you'd like. But that's a way to start. You could start a podcast if you want. Podcasts are just at the crest now. Podcasts are going to be huge. So big, it's not even going to be funny, because every car in America will eventually have Wi-Fi in their car with iTunes integrated into the car. Well, they can listen to their iTunes music by streaming it through their car, or guess what? They can listen to a podcast while they're commuting to work. So guess what? If you get in the podcast space, well, guess what? You could be in every car in America, people listening to you at the convenience by just pressing a button and doing a search. So, like I said, podcast is just becoming, it's not even, becoming we haven't even reached critical mass yet in the whole podcasting segment. So you could do something like that if you want to get the word out there if you'd like. But it's really, really not that hard to figure out. It's something you can definitely do. All right. Enough of that. So that is the case, how you can build it to $500,000 by either two choices. You can do a ton of more marketing, or you can go out and work with people all across the country and build it that way. Not only can you make money off information marketing, which is a whole business model in itself, or you can turn around and do it through just real estate. I like it both. I like the whole information marketing arena, and I like because it's putting good quality content information and then working with people through the real estate. I don't think I'd do information marketing just only because I like real estate. I love doing deals and I like working with people across the country on deals. So, so that's, I guess, my kind of business model is kind of a mix between the two, which is great. All right, so let's talk about the $18,000 case study we talked about last week. I kind of left off that we got the deal under contract, went in, talked to the seller, went through everything, sat down for 2 hours with the seller as she went through her divorce, which is another marketing thing that you could do, is market to divorced individuals who have real estate. So we got it under contract, brought it to title, did the whole title. Now this all happened in a week. Called one of my investor friends, went over the house, said, okay, I'll take it, did a contract immediately on it, brought it to title, and then it went to closing. So what we did then was, we were at basically a $15,000 profit on the deal. Then what we did was, to increase the spread, we offered more value to the seller. So instead of the seller having to, more value to actually the buyer, instead of the seller having to come in with more cash, instead of the buyer having to come in with more cash on the deal and coming in with hard money to close the transaction out, what we did is we structured to keep the existing loan of the seller in place at I think it's like a 6% interest rate, which would save about $1,000 a month on hard money. Then we went back to the buyer and they wanted to pay a premium for it of $3,000 to be able to do that. So increased a $15,000 deal into an $18,000 deal, just by restructuring the contract with the seller to keep the existing loan in place, and the buyer was all over it. He's like, oh yeah, for sure, let's do it. And I did it for 2 years with the seller. So now the buyer, guess what? He doesn't have to pay hard money. At 18% is what the norm here is in Phoenix, and 18% interest, on 160, 170,000, you're talking a couple $2,000-$3,000 a month, whatever it is. So now he's got payments of $1,100 a month, so he saves $1,000 a month or $12,000 a year. Now his goal is to go in and fix and flip it, but you never know the market. It might sit there for a little while. So if it sits there, he's not burning through 18% money every single month. So that was a value to the buyer, and the buyer jumped all over it, and we got the deal closed, and we closed it within 7 days of that deal. And the bird dog that I'm working with, or the property scout I'm working with, the one that found it, we split the transaction. We each made over $8,000 in 7 days. Not bad. And that lead came off an internet lead through his particular website that he set up, a squeeze page that he got. So that was that particular deal, the $18,000 case study. Now let's talk about now let's talk about what if it's not working. Okay, and I'm going kind of long in this episode, and I do apologize. But let's talk about what if it's not working. What if you're doing the marketing? Okay, you've got the letters going out. You've got the calls going out. You've got everything. You've got the people in place. You're doing what, and it's just not clicking. You've talked to 30, 40, 50 leads, and it's just not working. What is the problem? And you're beating your head against the wall. Is it me? What am I doing wrong? What happened? And when I first started, I did my first deal, and I made $11,008. Right. Second deal I made was $2,000. The third deal came about I think it was like almost 2 months later, almost 2 or 3 months later. And I remember I was beating my head against the wall. What was the problem? What was I doing wrong? I was taking the calls. I was knocking on doors because I was taught when I first started to knock on pre-foreclosure doors. So I went out knocking on doors. I was talking to people. And I said, "And see, I'm pretty. If something's not working, I'll just attack it with brute force. Meaning that I'll just do it 10 times harder. I'll do it 10 times more, and I'll do it 10 times faster. Right? So if the norm was to put out 50 Bandit signs, I put out 200 on a weekend just because I'm brute force, right? If it was to knock on 20 doors a day, I'd knock on 30 or 40 doors. I'd wake up at 6 o'clock and I'd be at their doorstep at 7:30. I'd be knocking on the door saying, "Hey, how you doing? I know your house is going for sale here, coming up on so-and-so date, and I'd like to know if you'd like to sell your house, or if we could find out a solution before that actually happens." And that's what I'd say, knocking on the doors of pre-foreclosures. Now, I would not suggest that you do that. That's how I got started doing it. It is brutal, and it painstaking because first off, to go up to the door is pretty intimidating. First off, and second off, when they have a gun, they pull out and say, "Get off my property." That's pretty scary too. And they got big old dogs they send after you. That's pretty scary too. So I wouldn't recommend it. I'd rather send yellow letters to free and clear properties all day long. Anyways, so those 3 months there, I was just beating my head against the wall because I couldn't get a deal. I was like, what is my problem? What is wrong? What am I doing? So I just did more, and I did more, and it still wasn't working. So what happened? When things happen like that, you basically do what's called a reevaluation. You kind of regroup and you go, okay, what am I doing in my personal life? And what am I doing in my business life? Well, in my business life, I am doing what I'm supposed to do. Okay, I am knocking on the doors. I'm doing the action steps, mailing the mailings. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. But for the personal side, what am I doing? Well, I want to talk to you about a spiritual law of success. It's a spiritual law that is the most important thing in your business that will separate you from all the competition. It will separate you. It's the biggest. It's even more important than everything we just talked about for this last hour. It's more important than all that stuff. It's a spiritual law of success. And if you don't apply this, or if you don't have this in your business, and you're listening to this podcast right now, and you're driving in your car, if you're listening on your walk or at the gym or whatever, and you're pounding away at life, and it's just not working for you, and you have more month to the end of the money, and there's always something always coming up for bills, and this has to get paid, and the car breaks down, and oh my gosh, my daughter needs braces, or this comes up, and there's always something that always comes that depletes any extra cash or capital that you had, and leaves you stuck. If you're in a position like that to where, those things are going on in your life right now, then pay attention. Turn up the volume, because I'm going to tell you how you can change that quickly. Okay? And it has nothing to do with how many letters you send. It has nothing to do with how many videos or, pay-per-click advertising, who you send it to, what list you send it to. It has to do with how you handle a specific portion of the money that you receive. Okay? Now, this success principle that is one of the most important than all principles that we talked about, not all, in my opinion, is that you have to, how can I emphasize how profound this is in your life? You have to make this a part of your daily ritual. You must tithe 10% of every dollar earned. Let me repeat. You must give 10% of every dollar earned. And I'm going to tell you why. Because, number one, it's a universal law. Number two is that money is energy, and energy flows. And I can tell you that you can take this to the bank, literally. Try it. You don't trust me? Try it for 30 days. Give 10%. Now, what if you don't have money to give? Give what you can. Giving is a universal law. Give, you get $10 in, give $10. Now, I want you to listen to this really quick clip. It's about this guy who is in construction. Now, it's put on by CBN. It's a little video by CBN. Now, I don't advocate, obviously, giving to CBN, but I just want you to hear the story behind it, what happened to them and their giving process. But the little guy was literally on food stamps, and to where he's now has a $700,000 a year business because he's implemented this into his life, starting with next to nothing. So listen to this right now.
Scott Steele was an experienced carpenter with plenty of work. That allowed his wife Melissa to be a stay-at-home mom with their 2 children.
Mostly when 9/11 hit, that's when it just really went bad. It was hard. The building permits and everything stopped, so people were afraid. So nobody wanted to go spend money on remodeling their house.
Over the next 3 years, the Steeles almost lost everything.
Things got so bad that we were on food stamps. We were desperate. We went into forbearance on our home.
I went to God and said, okay, God, this is who you said we are. This is what you said we can have. So, I'm waiting on you.
The Steeles turned to their faith in God. They prayed about their finances.
And I just said, okay, God, I can't go any further. I need something today. I need an answer. And I hear, how God talks to you. I hear, I want you to sow $1 into 10 ministries. Of course, at the time, we didn't have $10.
I was going through some clothes, and I found $10, which is very unlike me to leave money in clothes. So when I found the $10, I absolutely knew that it was God saying, I will even give you the seed to begin this process.
Scott and Melissa wanted to reach others, so in April 2004, they sent in their first gift of $1 to CBN.
There are so many things that CBN takes care of, that they're a part of people's lives in a practical way, and that is sort of a vision that Scott and I have, to be a part of people's lives in a practical way. So we identify with the vision that CBN has.
2 weeks later, the estate of Melissa's late grandmother closed, and they got $10,000.
We had no idea that anything was going to break loose at that point because it's been 3 years,
Whatever process needed to happen in order for it to get the final sign-off, it happened in that 2-week period. And it really was. We knew at that point that it was God blessing our obedience.
With that money, God told Scott and Melissa to increase their giving to CBN 100-fold. This time, they sent in $100. Within 6 months, Scott was offered several lucrative construction contracts.
We basically come out of there with about $150,000 in 3 months.
The Steeles believed God wanted them to increase their giving to $1,000. So they did. Scott's business picked up even more, bringing in $700,000.
We paid our tithe and said, okay, God, now what? And he said, now I want you to sow $10,000 in those 10 ministries. And he said, pretty much, as long as you'll continue, I'll continue.
It really did, in a physical sense, open my eyes to the spiritual implications that sowing has. So be obedient. Listen to what God is telling you to do, and just do it.
And he's no respecter of persons.
Yeah, if he can do this for us, if we can walk this journey with him, he can certainly do it for others.
Now, like I said, it's not a commercial for CBN per se, but I want you to get the story and the concept behind it. The deal is this, is that if you don't apply this in your life, well, guess what? You're always, always, always going to struggle at some point with this, with money, with something. And if it's not working right now, then do it. I don't care if you get $10. Do it. Give it to your church. Give it to charity. Give it to whoever. I don't give it to somebody. But just give it away, whatever it is. And you'll be amazed to see what happens. Now, back to the story for those 3 months when I was beating my head against the wall and I did a reevaluation. I realized that I stopped giving in my life. I stopped actually tithing in my life. And I can tell you, for me personally, every time I tithe, everything flows. Everything falls in place. I have more money than I expected. Everything just turns out okay, And when I don't tithe, things just seem to not work out. Deals fall through that I was thinking they're coming through. Leads don't come in like they normally come in from the marketing. Things just don't happen like I expected them to happen, and money goes not as far as I would think it would go, because something always comes up for this and that and this and that and this and that, So now I don't have like I said, I'm just an average guy, just like you and I. I'm just in the business. I love doing real estate. I do real estate deals. I happen to have a podcast. I happen to have membership. That doesn't mean I'm a gazillionaire and I have $100 million sitting in the bank. I'm just an average guy, just like you and I, just you, like you, and I do real estate, love it, and I just happen to talk about it, and I'm passionate about it. So I have issues and problems and stuff, and everybody has the same thing, but the problems and issues when things go perfectly well and they're harmonious is when I am consistently tithing on income that comes in, 10% of whatever comes in. And when I do that, everything flows. And when I don't do that, everything sucks. I can tell you. And I always look back and I know that, guess what? Waking up early in the morning and praying and getting focused on where I need to be on my day and on my life. If I do that and I give consistently, everything seems to click. Everything seems to click. So back to the story. So I started giving again. I started going out and said, I gave from where I was at. And guess what? I had this idea to put an ad in a jobs-seeking newspaper. I found a little job-seeking little newspaper. The ad cost me next to nothing. I put an ad inside there. Someone called me off the ad, and I got this deal and made $34,000 on the deal. That changed my whole business. As soon as I did that, I had more money for marketing. I realized I had to start giving more. I realized, and everything just turned. I made I think I made $140,000 that year, and I started in May. And that was 2003. I started in May, and I got my first check of $11,000, second check of $2,000. I didn't make any for a couple months, so my third check was probably like in June or July or so. I can't remember. And then the balance of that year, I made $138,000. I was excited. and I was just having a blast. Going, looking at houses, talking to people, talking to leads, doing deals. It was great. Having a blast. So I can't stress the importance for you that it is the biggest, most important factor to your success. And I am telling you this because I want you to be successful. I want you to be successful, right? And and like I said, I can't stress this enough. It is the biggest, most important thing to your success. Now, next week, we are going to talk about cash flow. See, flipping properties is going to generate a bunch of money for you, okay, doing this. If you're doing 2 or 3 deals a month, you're living large. I'm telling you, you're making more money than you've ever dreamt possible, and you're living large. If you're doing 5 to 10 deals a month, man, you are rolling in the dough. So what's going to happen, you're just going to have excess money, and you're going to be marketing for motivated sellers. And what's going to happen in that is that you're going to find specific deals that you're going to want to keep in your inventory to hold on to generate cash flow. $500 to $1,000 a month extra cash flow, and you can literally buy these properties with little to no money out of pocket because they're motivated sellers that have existing loans in place, and you can structure the deal to keep the loan in place for 5 to 10 years if you want, putting little money out of your pocket, and then lining up a buyer on the other side that can come in with a down, so you have no money out of pocket, and you're still generating cash flow, and you're still generating potential profits on the deal. So that's what we're going to talk about next week, is going from where you're doing deals consistently, bringing in money, to where then you have 20 properties that are all making you $1,000 a month, $500 a month. If you have 20 properties at $500 a month, well, guess what? That's $10,000 a month of income, whether you wake out of bed or not. You will run across these deals in marketing for motivated sellers, I tell you. And now you're building a cash flow business. Then, right? And then you'll have deals where you can make $1,000. If you have 20 deals at $1,000 a month, that's $20,000 a month, where you have equity in them because you got them on a smoking deal, right? And you have cash flow every single month, whether you wake out of bed or not. So picture that. Picture you have a cranking wholesale business or wholesale properties. You run across some deals, and then you structure them correctly, and then now you have a cash flow business to where you have cash flow coming in every single month, whether you work or not. So that's what we're going to talk about in the next episode. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I truly thank you for listening, taking the time to be with me and listen to this podcast. And I really truly hope that you can grasp these concepts and start focusing on, instead of the recession and what's going on in this crazy world right now with with Japan and with Libya and what's going on with that, and then this crazy stuff in Wisconsin. You put all these things together, and you kind of get caught up in this world activities. But you know what? It's your world. How can you make your world better? And getting your world better would be spending more time with your family, being able to go do things that you want to do, live a life that you want to live, inspire other people and feel good about it, and be able to become you at your fullest potential. So I hope this podcast and these shows and what I'm telling you, you take it heart, and you're able to change your world, because that is the most important thing. Because if you can change your world, and I'm just a little piece of that, and then you can turn around and change someone else's world, and be an inspiration and motivation, help them change their lives. And guess what? Man, we can make a difference. We can make a difference in this world. And that's what I aspire to happen. So again, thank you for your time, and I wish you the ultimate success. Until next week, God bless.